Welcome to Whisper Facts 101. Today we will be talking about 101 craziest facts about the Wimbledon. Wimbledon is the only Grand Slam played on grass, and the grass is cut to exactly 8 millimeters before and during the tournament. But here's the weird part. This length was decided not for player comfort, but because ball bounce metrics, sound analysis, and spin calculation showed it offers the fairest challenge. Wimbledon employs a trained Harris hawk named Rufus, who flies over the courts every morning before matches begin. His job is to scare away pigeons that could interfere with play. Rufus even has his own social media presence and fan following, and was once famously stolen and later recovered in a nationwide search. Wimbledon is strict about its all-white dress code, but few know the lengths to which this rule extends. Even undergarments must be white, including bras and underwear. In 2017, Venus Williams had to change her bra mid-match because it had pink trim, causing quite a stir among fans and media alike. For tennis ball travel. Each year, more than 54,000 tennis balls are used during Wimbledon. But here's the kicker, these balls are stored in a refrigerated room at exactly 20 degrees Celsius to ensure consistency in bounce and pressure. The level of detail in handling something as small as a tennis ball reflects the tournament's obsession with fairness. Ball boys and girls, BBGs, at Wimbledon go through an intense selection process. Around 700 students apply, but only 250 make the cut after months of physical training and etiquette lessons. They're judged on posture, speed, awareness, and even facial expression. Dropping a ball at the wrong time can mean disqualification. The exact grass mixture used at Wimbledon is 100% perennial ryegrass, but its source is top secret. The grass is cultivated in a secure location under artificial conditions and transported in coated shipments. Scientists monitor it with drones and data loggers to ensure it is grown identically every year without exception. Unlike most sports events, Wimbledon features no advertising banners or brand logos on court. This tradition dates back to its beginnings, and the All England Club refuses to commercialize the playing area. Brands must settle for subtle placements like logoed towels or sponsor mentions, making it an anomaly in modern sports marketing. The longest match in tennis history happened at Wimbledon in 2010 between John Isner and Nicholas Mahut. It lasted 11 hours and 5 minutes over 3 days. At 70-68 in the final set, the match broke not just tennis records but sports endurance expectations. A plaque now marks the historic Court 18. While Wimbledon is famous for its strawberries and cream, it's actually forbidden for players to eat strawberries during a match, even during changeovers. The rule isn't written but is enforced culturally and through media optics. Only water and electrolyte drinks are allowed unless there's a medical exemption. Beneath center court lies a little-known tunnel, originally constructed as a bomb shelter during World War II. Today, it serves as a discreet passage for VIPs and players during emergencies or sudden rain. Rumors suggest members of the British royal family have used it to avoid media attention or crowds. Unlike other Grand Slams, Wimbledon allows fans to buy same-day tickets by lining up in the queue. It's a British cultural phenomenon where people camp overnight with tents, tea kettles, and even board games. There's a 30-page guide to queuing that includes etiquette, quiet hours, and how to earn a numbered card. Center court at Wimbledon has a retractable roof that takes exactly 10 minutes to close, but that's just the beginning. It also has a climate control system so advanced that it adjusts humidity and temperature in real time, simulating outdoor grass conditions. Even wind speed is subtly engineered to remain authentic. Before 2020, Wimbledon used to refer to married female players with their husband's initials. For example, Chris Evert was Mrs. J.M. Lloyd. This archaic tradition was only recently scrapped. Male players, however, were always referred to only by surname. The inconsistency stood unchallenged for decades before being quietly dropped. Wimbledon spectators consume around 30,000 bottles of champagne and 190,000 servings of strawberries each year. But the prices, £2.50 for strawberries and £39 for premium champagne, are intentionally kept reasonable to maintain tradition. The organizers lose profit here, but it reinforces Wimbledon's identity as a genteel experience, not a commercial frenzy. To sit in Wimbledon's Royal Box, you must be invited by the chairman of the All England Club. There are 74 seats, and guests must follow a strict dress code. Men must wear a suit and tie, and mobile phones are prohibited. Even celebrities can be removed for violating protocol. In 2014, Wimbledon updated its dress code to be even stricter. Players must wear solid white clothing, and any off-white, cream, or color trim larger than 1 centimeter is banned. Even shoes, socks, and underwear must be white. Roger Federer once got reprimanded for wearing orange-soled shoes, despite being the defending champion. Yes, you read that right. Wimbledon actually owns a flock of sheep. They're kept at a separate location and used to graze the practice courts outside of tournament time. This natural trimming method helps the grass develop deeper roots. It's old-school lawn care at its most delightfully bizarre. Wimbledon's iconic manual scoreboards on outer courts are still controlled by a complex system of light switches, levers, and mechanical panels. Operators undergo intense training, and backups are required in case of rain or power failure. The goal is to keep it old-fashioned, like running a nuclear submarine by Morse code. Until 2022, Wimbledon traditionally took a rest day on Middle Sunday, a full tournament day with no play. This was done to preserve the grass, but it also became a sacred tradition. However, due to increasing demand and weather delays, the rest day was abolished, ending a 144-year quirk. Wimbledon grass used to be 70% rye and 30% creeping red fescue. But in 2001, the All England Club shifted to 100% ryegrass to make the court more durable. This subtle change had a huge impact. It reduced serve and volley play and favored baseline rallies, dramatically shifting the playing style at Wimbledon. In 1986, yellow tennis balls were introduced at Wimbledon for the first time, and not everyone was happy about it. Before that, the balls were traditionally white, but they were hard to see on television. The switch came only after pressure from BBC broadcasters, despite staunch resistance from purists who felt yellow looked too modern. Before each tournament, Wimbledon deploys a team of bounce testers who use radar guns and sensors to measure the bounce height and velocity of tennis balls across all courts. Any court found to be out of sync with Wimbledon standards is pulled from match use. It's like a quality control check from Mother Nature. Ball girls and boys at Wimbledon are trained to roll tennis balls with such precision that they land exactly on the baseline from over 20 feet away. The rolling style is modeled after a cricket-style underarm throw, and they're judged on speed, trajectory, and silence. Poor rollers are benched during televised matches. Wimbledon once had a players' cafeteria where you could find legends like Serena Williams and Novak Djokovic waiting in line for a sandwich. But fewer people know that each menu item is approved by a nutritionist, and top players often bring their own chefs. Yet bizarrely, many still opt for the tournament's famous fish and chips. There is a hidden room under center court known as the bunker, where tech teams, weather analysts, and emergency planners monitor every detail of the tournament. It contains multiple weather feeds, slow-motion servers, court analytics systems, and a live police channel. It's like NASA Mission Control, but for a tennis match. The ball change rule at Wimbledon is incredibly precise. Balls are changed after the first 7 games and then every 9 games after that. The reasoning? Players need to adjust gradually to newer balls during a match. The exact sequence was determined by sports scientists after studying grip strength, fuzz wear, and ball flight over decades. For decades, all of Wimbledon's line judges were men, until the 1980s, when women were finally allowed to participate. But even today, most umpires are British, and the accent is not just coincidence. Wimbledon trains umpires to speak in neutral Queen's English to maintain uniformity, especially when announcing scores for global broadcasts. Wimbledon has an official rain insurance policy worth over £100 million. The policy pays out if too many matches are cancelled or delayed. After the 2001 tournament was heavily disrupted by rain, this insurance proved critical, allowing the tournament to cover lost revenue and still pay full prize money to players. A little-known tradition at Wimbledon involves the groundskeepers using a special blend of crushed brick dust to fill in worn patches on the baseline of grass courts during the second week. This mixture, custom created for Wimbledon, helps disguise worn turf while maintaining bounce consistency. It's the tennis equivalent of makeup and prosthetics. Wimbledon winners receive a trophy, but do not get to keep the original. The gentlemen's singles trophy and the ladies' plate are both held by the All England Club. Winners get a smaller replica, and the originals remain on site under constant surveillance, stored in a temperature-controlled vault behind center court. Wimbledon once had a strict rule banning players from practicing on the main courts before the tournament began. This was meant to preserve the pristine condition of the grass. As a result, many top players had to adjust rapidly without prior exposure to center court, often causing unexpected upsets in the early rounds. There is a specific staff role at Wimbledon known as the Hawk Handler, responsible for managing Rufus the Hawk. But it's not just about flying him around. The handler monitors pigeon nesting behavior around the grounds year-round and even uses dummy hawks and sound deterrents during Rufus's off days to keep pigeons alert. During World War II, a German bomb hit center court, destroying over 1,200 seats. The damage was so severe that for several years after the war, matches were held around the ruins. Instead of removing the rubble, the club preserved some of it as a reminder of the war's impact on sport. The entire Wimbledon tournament runs on a secret scheduling algorithm known only to a few members of the tournament's referee office. It considers match duration probability, weather forecasts, and even sun positioning when assigning players to courts. This algorithm has been fine-tuned over decades and is considered one of tennis's best-kept digital secrets. Wimbledon's grass is rolled daily using half-ton rollers to ensure an even surface and consistent ball bounce. But what's strange is that they roll the courts both vertically and horizontally, then diagonally every third day. This obsessive multi-angle rolling prevents microscopic ridges that could redirect the ball unpredictably during play. Many people don't know that Wimbledon has a dedicated bee control team. Because of the abundance of floral displays, bees occasionally swarm the courts. The team includes apiarists on standby to safely relocate bees without harming them, a particularly British solution involving smoke puffs, soft nets, and a surprising amount of diplomacy. Wimbledon ball kids undergo rigorous fitness tests, including timed 600-meter runs, precision throwing, and reaction drills. They're also taught a special kneeling posture, which must be held without shifting for up to 10 minutes. Many end up needing physiotherapy by the end of the tournament due to the physical strain of the position. There's a special chair in the players' lounge reserved only for the reigning champions. No other player, even legends like Nadal or Djokovic, may sit in that chair unless they've won the title the previous year. The tradition is unspoken, but all players observe it with surprising reverence. The Wimbledon lawn is mowed with cylinder-style blades rather than rotary ones, because cylinder blades give a cleaner cut at the microscopic level. Rotary blades create frayed edges on grass blades that affect ball bounce and coloration. The mowing schedule is so strict that missed cuts can result in staff dismissal. Championship towels handed to players during matches are one of Wimbledon's most iconic accessories. But fans go crazy for them. Over 6,000 towels are lost every year, usually pocketed by spectators or sometimes even stolen from unattended chairs. This theft is so common, the club quietly budgets for it annually. Wimbledon once used to feature a popular event called the Plate Tournament for players who lost in the first round. It gave early exiting players a second chance and was well received, but was eventually discontinued due to time constraints. Still, some tennis historians argue that bringing it back could help rising stars gain more experience. The umpire's chair at Wimbledon isn't just a place to sit. It's equipped with a pressure-sensitive base biometric scanner and 2 independent audio feeds, one from the court microphones and another from the player box. The chair itself costs more than £25,000 to build and is custom-made for stability, tech integration, and prestige. Center court is equipped with an underground drainage system, so advanced it can clear out standing rainwater in under 30 seconds. Installed in the early 2000s, this system includes more than 10 kilometers of piping. It helped save entire tournament days before the roof era and is still maintained with military-level precision. Wimbledon uses a custom-created electronic line-calling review system called Hawkeye. but it's only used if a player challenges a call. What many don't know is that a backup optical system is also running in parallel, silently checking for system errors. If Hawkeye glitches, the match referee has authority to override it instantly. The iconic green and purple Wimbledon colors weren't always the official palette. Before 1909, the tournament used a mix of blues, reds, and whites. The shift to green and purple was made to distinguish the event from other British summer sporting traditions like polo and cricket, and it's now trademarked down to the exact hex codes. Players at Wimbledon are not allowed to bring their own chairs. Instead, every chair on the court is provided by the All England Club and must match tournament aesthetics. Even seat height is regulated to prevent unfair resting postures or hidden gear storage. Deviating from this rule has led to on-court warnings. A hidden room under court number 1 stores hundreds of pre-packed emergency kits, including player-sized ponchos, energy gels, salt tablets, and cold compresses. These are prepared weeks in advance and color-coded by court number. The goal is to treat anything from heat stroke to bee stings within 60 seconds of occurrence. Every single blade of grass on center court is measured and scanned using a light refractor tool the night before the finals. This device measures how much light each section of grass reflects, helping groundskeepers identify areas that may have thinned due to heavy foot traffic. Adjustments are made overnight, sometimes with tweezers. The ivy covering the walls of Wimbledon Center Court is not decorative. It was originally planted to reduce the amount of echo bouncing off the structure, especially during early years when the crowd was smaller. Over time, it became an iconic visual element, but its soundproofing function remains quietly important. Players are required to bow or curtsy to the royal box if a member of the royal family is present. This tradition was once mandatory for every match, but now it only applies when the king or queen is in attendance. Still, most players instinctively bow even when no royal is present, out of habit. Wimbledon doesn't allow audible advertisements, jingles, or promotional messages anywhere on the grounds. Even the food stalls use plain signage and minimal branding. The idea is to maintain a garden party atmosphere. As a result, major sponsors like Rolex or Slazenger must rely on discreet placement, such as scoreboards or towels, for visibility. The Slazenger tennis balls used at Wimbledon undergo an exclusive 14-step testing process before being approved for play. They are shipped 6 months in advance, acclimatized to British humidity, hand-rotated during storage, and even x-rayed for internal consistency. Wimbledon has used Slazenger balls since 1902, making it the longest-running equipment partnership in sports history. There is a private chapel within the Wimbledon grounds that very few visitors know exists. It's tucked near the players' area and was originally created during the war for reflection and prayer. Today, it is sometimes used by players or staff for personal solitude, emotional preparation, or even spiritual guidance before a big match. The chairs used for spectators in center court are replaced every 5 years, not for wear and tear, but because their padding is scientifically tested to maintain acoustics and crowd noise balance. The sound of clapping, for instance, must not echo too sharply, as it can distract players or distort live broadcasts. The center court roof isn't just about keeping rain out, it has its own micro-airflow system that mimics outdoor wind patterns. The system includes over 100 directional vents, programmed to fluctuate in speed and temperature. This is to prevent players from gaining an advantage through perfectly still, indoor-like playing conditions. During the tournament, Wimbledon's kitchens prepare over 300 unique menu items daily, but all dishes must be approved not just by health officials, but also by botanists. This is due to strict UK regulations about imported produce and allergens. Every herb, garnish, and spice is scanned through a national agricultural compliance database. Wimbledon's archives include not just match footage, but full biometric data from select matches. This includes players' heart rates, sprint speeds, sweat loss rates, and recovery times, collected through smart clothing and discrete sensors. This data is stored in a secure digital vault and used by analysts to track athletic performance evolution over time. The grass on Wimbledon courts is aerated using a method called needle tining. where thousands of microscopic holes are punched into the surface to allow moisture and air to reach the roots. This is done late at night and requires absolute silence. Even the grounds crew wear padded shoes to avoid disturbing the turf's rest. On the final Sunday, a rarely mentioned ritual takes place behind the scenes. A single ball kid from that year is chosen to place a commemorative tennis ball into a time capsule hidden in the club's museum. This tradition, started in the 1970s, is known only to a few staff and the chosen participant. Wimbledon's security includes trained undercover operatives who pose as ordinary fans in the crowd. These individuals are trained in behavioral profiling and are strategically placed near high-value areas like the royal box or commentary booths. They are not allowed to intervene unless absolutely necessary and must blend in perfectly, even with binoculars and match programs. Wimbledon employs a professional sound design team to calibrate how matches are heard by global audiences. Microphones are positioned under the umpire's chair, inside the net posts, and even below the court surface. These sound engineers adjust the audio feed in real time to maintain the balance between crowd ambience, ball strikes, and player grunts. Each year, a ceremonial grass clipping from center court is collected after the final and sealed inside a small glass vial. This vial is given only to the men's and women's singles champions. The idea is to give them a piece of the court they conquered. It's never publicized and is a quiet, emotional gesture. Wimbledon's iconic logo, two cross tennis rackets inside a green and purple circle, was almost abandoned in the 1980s in favor of a more modern design. Focus groups rejected the new version so strongly that the club permanently archived it. To this day, only 3 people have seen the full design proposal. The strawberries served at Wimbledon must be picked at dawn on the very same day they're sold. They're transported from a single farm in Kent by refrigerated truck, sorted by hand, and measured for size and sheen. If a batch is too small or dull in color, it's rejected before ever reaching the venue. Wimbledon has a dress code not just for players, but also for the umpires and ball kids. Their uniforms are designed by Ralph Lauren and must be worn precisely as instructed, including how socks are folded, sleeves rolled, and collars positioned. Deviations as small as unbuttoned cuffs can trigger formal warnings. In the early 1900s, Wimbledon used to allow dogs onto the grounds, not just for spectators, but even players. In one strange incident in 1910, a match had to be paused because a player's terrier repeatedly chased tennis balls mid-rally. Today, only guide dogs are allowed, and only in designated areas. Wimbledon's centre court is registered as a protected view landmark under London's visual heritage policy. This means any construction or skyline development around the area must be reviewed to ensure it doesn't obstruct televised sight lines, crowd photos, or drone footage. Even trees planted nearby are trimmed based on camera angle calculations. The white paint used to mark Wimbledon's tennis lines is custom-made to avoid cracking or smudging on wet grass. It contains a secret compound that reflects sunlight to remain visible even in poor lighting. The paint is applied with GPS-guided machines accurate to 3 millimeters and corrected manually with stencils if even slightly off. There's a dedicated towel control room at Wimbledon that monitors the usage, distribution, and recovery of player towels during the tournament. Some towels are RFID tagged to prevent loss or theft. Players are warned that repeatedly throwing towels to fans can lead to fines, though enforcement is rare due to tradition. Wimbledon's ivy-covered walls are home to over 50 bird species, including robins, blackbirds, and sparrows. The All England Club employs an ornithologist to track these populations and ensure nesting birds aren't disturbed during the tournament. Nest boxes are even moved away from louder courts to avoid distressing fledglings during peak match hours. Wimbledon maintains a quiet room deep within the players' area, designed for those needing complete sensory isolation. It's soundproof, light-adjustable, and contains no digital devices or clocks. Players use it for emotional reset, meditation, or post-defeat decompression. The room is so private that even coaches are not permitted to enter. The All England Club's official rulebook for Wimbledon includes an etiquette clause that forbids players from using excessive celebratory gestures after a win. The aim is to preserve decorum and respect for the opponent. Players are quietly reminded during orientation to avoid shirt tossing, loud roars, or prolonged fist pumps after match point. Wimbledon's pigeon problem once became so extreme that during the 1990s, hawks weren't enough. So the club experimented with broadcasting predator bird sounds at irregular intervals to scare them off. Unfortunately, the noise scared ball kids and confused players, so the plan was abandoned in favor of reintroducing Rufus the hawk full-time. During matches, players are not allowed to look at personal notes, but Wimbledon makes one exception: if the notes are handwritten and placed inside a transparent bag. This odd rule stems from a controversy in 2004 when a coach was caught passing typed notes in a Gatorade bottle. Handwriting is now oddly considered more sportsmanlike. Every player's shoes are inspected before their first match to ensure they comply with the grass court sole pattern required by Wimbledon. Spikes, grooves, or excessive grip can be grounds for disqualification. Some players have had to switch shoes minutes before entering court, occasionally leading to slips and unexpected losses. The number of steps a player takes from the locker room to center court has been precisely counted: 289. This path is considered sacred by many players. Roger Federer once called it the longest short walk in tennis. The club has refused to renovate the route, preserving it exactly as it's been for decades. Wimbledon's ball machines used for player warm-ups are custom designed and classified as Class C low-impact artillery due to their precision. They can simulate left-handed spin, slice serves, and rally-style forehands at tournament speed. These machines are locked up and password protected, and only official tech staff are authorized to calibrate or operate them. In the player's locker room, there is a hidden wooden plaque listing every past singles champion. But it's not just decorative. The names are hand-carved by a single British artisan who's held the job since 1979. Each year, he visits quietly at dawn after the finals to add the new champion's name by hand. The Wimbledon final is watched in real time by a team of 6 statisticians who log over 2,000 data points per match, including rally length, net approaches, spin rate, and return placement. These stats aren't just for broadcasters. They're also fed into an AI engine used by top coaches for post-match analysis. There's a concealed herb garden within the Wimbledon grounds used exclusively by the tournament chefs. It includes mint for pims, basil for salads, and lavender used in signature desserts. The garden is maintained by 2 horticulturists and is hidden behind the Millennium Building, accessible only by fingerprint scan gate. Wimbledon has a historical archive that includes original match tickets dating back to 1877, meticulously stored in climate-controlled cabinets. The oldest ticket on record costs just 1 shilling. Curators wear gloves to handle them, and a digitization effort is underway to preserve these relics, though only members can access the physical collection. A tradition at Wimbledon that even many fans miss is the use of uniformed military personnel as honorary stewards. These members of the armed forces assist with crowd control, ticketing, and ceremonial duties. The partnership dates back to World War I and is a tribute to the military's role in protecting British heritage. During the tournament, Wimbledon employs a professional etiquette coach who gives pre-tournament briefings to ball kids, ushers, and staff on everything from posture to how to address players and royals. Even hand gestures for water, please, or new balls are rehearsed to be as discreet and formal as possible. The entire perimeter of the Wimbledon grounds is embedded with vibration sensors linked to the venue's internal security network. These sensors can detect unauthorized climbing, tampering, or drone landings. If triggered, an alert is silently sent to on-site law enforcement and the nearest plainclothes security personnel. The trophies awarded at Wimbledon, including the gentlemen's singles trophy and the ladies' plate, are engraved with the winners' names on site just minutes after the match ends. The engraver is present during the final with a set of pre-carved letters and only begins once the final point is played. The official Wimbledon souvenir shop sells everything from branded towels to tea sets, but few know about the ultra-exclusive Players Edition line. These are limited run items available only to main draw athletes and not sold to the public. Items include bespoke jackets, engraved keyrings, and monogram holdalls, often sold out within hours. Wimbledon's media center has an unspoken tradition, the first serve wager. Each year, dozens of journalists bet on whether the first serve of the tournament's opening match will be in or out. It's not sanctioned, but it's become a quirky ritual, with the winner buying a round of pims for the losers. The center court grass is never reseeded between tournament days. Groundskeepers instead use a mixture of green-colored sand, rolled turf, and ryegrass spritz to disguise divots and footholes. This process begins within 30 minutes after the final match of each day and is completed overnight with forensic precision. Each player is assigned a locker using a specific algorithm that accounts for seeding, court assignment, and personality type. Wimbledon's locker room manager has described it as controlled chaos. Top players often get corner lockers with more privacy, while rookies are placed near the entrances for easier supervision. The iconic "Quiet Please" signs used by Wimbledon officials during player serves are hand-lettered each year using a traditional calligraphy technique. The All England Club refuses to digitize the signage because they believe the imperfect strokes reflect Wimbledon's handcrafted, classic image. Even replacement signs are made in the same inky style. The famous strawberries and cream served at Wimbledon use a special cream recipe that has remained unchanged since the 1920s. The cream is thicker than typical clotted cream but lighter than whipped cream, made from a secret blend of local Jersey cow milk and specific bacterial cultures to create a perfect balance of sweetness and texture. Wimbledon has a long-standing tradition of banning electronic devices in certain areas, including player warm-up zones and media zones. This extends to smartwatches, fitness trackers, and even Bluetooth earbuds, all to minimize distractions and preserve the focus and privacy of players during crucial pre-match rituals. The original Wimbledon rules from 1877 stated that players were allowed to sing or whistle during play, which led to some early matches sounding more like music recitals. This rule was quickly rescinded after complaints from spectators and opponents, marking one of the earliest examples of player conduct regulations in tennis history. Wimbledon's ball kids are provided with special sunscreen that protects against UV rays, but also reduces sweat and enhances grip. This sunscreen was developed in partnership with dermatologists to meet the unique demands of outdoor play and long hours under the sun, reflecting Wimbledon's commitment to player and staff well-being. The tournament's official website once experienced a security breach in 2012, which was quietly contained. In response, Wimbledon commissioned a cybersecurity task force to monitor online activities during the event, including social media. This team proactively prevents hacking attempts, misinformation campaigns, and ensures live scoring integrity. Wimbledon's distinctive grass courts require over 100 tons of natural fertilizer annually, composed primarily of organic compost and seaweed extract. This mix supports the turf's health, resilience, and color. Groundskeepers apply it meticulously, often by hand, to avoid disrupting the delicate root systems and maintain optimal playing conditions. The All England Club has a lost and found box dedicated exclusively to player equipment. Over the years, items ranging from broken rackets to lost wristbands have been cataloged, sometimes retrieved weeks later by forgetful or exhausted players. Occasionally, these forgotten items become collectors' memorabilia among tennis fans. A unique aspect of Wimbledon's ticketing system is the use of season tickets that allow attendance to all matches on a specific court throughout the tournament. These tickets, mostly held by members, are among the hardest to come by and are often passed down through generations as prized family heirlooms. Despite Wimbledon's traditionally conservative image, it was one of the first major tennis tournaments to introduce equal prize money for men and women, doing so in 2007. This was after years of debate and pressure from players and activists, marking a milestone in sports equality that many other tournaments later followed. Wimbledon's official soundtrack is surprisingly minimal. Unlike other major sporting events with pumping music, Wimbledon focuses on ambient crowd noise and the sound of the ball striking racket. Music is only played between matches or during breaks, underscoring the tournament's dedication to pure tennis atmosphere and tradition. Lastly, the Wimbledon mascot isn't an animal or character, but a very old-fashioned green and purple striped umbrella. It's the unofficial symbol for rainy days and bad weather. Staff joke that this umbrella has saved more matches than any player, and it's revered as a quirky but essential part of Wimbledon lore.